Welcome to the People's Lawyer channel. Today we're looking at combating police tyranny out on the streets. This is part 2. And the subtitle really is minimizing the risk of arrest at a rally. In part 1, we looked at minimizing the risk of arrest generally. Now, I want to discuss 3 main ways to avoid arrest when you're gathering as a mass, what they call a protest. Well, I personally don't call them protests, but anyway, they're just gatherings to make a point. The 3 main strategies are, well, the first one is something that we used in Manchester and was used in London on the same day, Saturday, March the 20th. What we did was we decided that we would file a crime report. And when you file a crime report and you march peacefully through the streets, it's a criminal offence for the police to stop you. And if they stop you, you say you're going to the constabulary to file a crime report. And if they try and stop you, it's interfering with or perversion of the course of justice. And sure enough, when we amassed in the centre of Manchester, and the same thing happened in London, we gathered peacefully. We tipped off, I personally tipped off the police exactly what we were doing, where we were going, and why we were doing it. And the response was amazing. They protected us en route. They stopped traffic, they marshaled us, but they did it peacefully. At some point, a lot of the marchers were started to panic, thinking we were being kettled, but we weren't. In fact, I made friends on the day. I was marching at the front with a police officer, a guy called Howard, shout out to Howard, who was a lovely guy. And we both agreed that if there is a summer of protest this year, in this country and elsewhere, by the end of the summer, the police and the public need to be on first name terms. And then we know we will have won the info war and we would have dispelled the tyranny for good, hopefully. That's the plan. So how else did we keep the peace and avoid arrest? Well, we made sure that we stayed calm and relaxed and enjoyed ourselves. The police knew what we were doing. There were no secrets. The police find it very stressful when they can't predict what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. So it wasn't just reporting a crime. It was the fact that we were engaging in predictable behavior, safe behavior. And we were clearly a large crowd full of well-meaning people, mums, dads, boys, girls, the odd dog, etc. Now, just a brief word about the crime report, because some of you may be interested to know exactly what was in the report. We were basically alleging that Manchester City Council was guilty of 2 crimes. Now, obviously, they're clearly guilty of a lot more crimes, and they're complicit with the general governmental crimes against humanity, which is all part of the psychological operation and the harm being done to the human race right now. So the first crime that we were reporting was the crime under the Fraud Act, Section 4, Fraud Act 2006, Section 4, which is basically dishonestly causing someone a loss. So under this crime, the behavior must be dishonest. Well, we know that the councils have been using very, very fraudulent, unreliable statistics to justify their giving out of closure notices, fines, using street furniture, signage and propaganda to put people in fear and to affect people's behavior. This is fraud because they are intending to cause themselves a gain or intending to cause the people of Manchester a loss. Unlike the common law crime of fraud, no actual loss, no proof of actual loss is required. So this is the beauty of using the Fraud Act 2006. Maximum sentence is 10 years for Section 4, fraud by abuse of position. That will clearly be aimed at the CEO of Manchester. He will be the target of this criminal allegation. The other crime was common law assault. When you put people in fear of negative consequences, basically when you make them afraid of going out and leading a normal life, that's assault. There's no lawful justification. They've not done a risk assessment. They're using falsified death statistics. They're using the BBC to to propagate the idea that there's a threat out there, there's an external threat that's called a virus, when in fact all you have to do is look at the statistics and you realize that it's just a seasonal flu that's been rebranded. The death rates are just as they are for every year, and there's just been a spike for lockdown. So we're talking about a massive fraud and a massive abuse of the mental state of mind, the mental health and well-being of the people in general. So we encapsulated it into 2 crimes. In London, I believe that they used other crimes, but it doesn't really matter. We had legitimate crimes to report. We ended up at the police station in Manchester, in Failsworth. We got a great reception. They had a box for us to put. Everyone had their own individual crime report. So you could either be a witness to the crime, or you could be a victim of the crime, or both. So they had a box ready for us all to put our individual reports in, and we should all be hearing from the police soon, and we'll see what happens. Now, people say to me, what's going to happen? Well, the point is, at the moment we're engaging in a psychological battle for the minds and hearts of the general masses. It doesn't really matter to me personally what happens. It doesn't really matter that the CEO or the Lord Mayor of Manchester Council is prosecuted. The point is that it gets out there that crimes are being committed. Because remember that if you prosecute one, they just get replaced. So that's not the point for me personally. Now, the other technique for avoiding arrests at a rally is one that's being used in Europe, which is to have a cycle rally. You cannot be charged with unlawful gathering if you're on a bicycle, because by definition on a bicycle, you're in movement, you're in constant motion, and you're keeping a distance. And on a cycle, you can go around the town with bullhorns or megaphones, whatever, and announce your presence and announce to people why you're doing it. So that's the second technique. The third technique to avoid being arrested en masse at these mass gatherings or rallies is never to go to them in the first place. It's to stay at home, never use any opinions that demonstrate any kind of independent thinking, hide behind the curtains, and never ever go out ever again. That strategy is guaranteed to work, except that what it would mean is that your life is over and no one will ever see you again. So I say that, of course, lightheartedly. It's the first 2 strategies that are the ones that are really aiming at showing you or demonstrating the value of. But the third strategy is a strategy that's being used by some people who are so frightened that they've not been out for over a year. So that's not a strategy, of course, that I would recommend to anyone, unless you're in the deepest, darkest depths of despair and the psychological torture has got to you. Hopefully you'll come out of that sometime soon when we undo this nonsense and we all recapture our lives and take to the streets in peace and harmony, and the dancing and the partying can recommence. So I hope that's been of value to you. Stay tuned for more from The People's Lawyer. Watch out for the website, thepeopleslawyeruk.com. More videos on YouTube, BitChute, and Brand YouTube. Although Brand YouTube is not the best platform for us at the moment. BitChute and YouTube. So we'll see you sometime soon. Take care. Have fun out there, and make sure that your message is received loud and clear in peace without any threat of arrest whatsoever. Bye for now.